Hello and welcome back to our Resistance playthrough. We are going to immediately continue where we just left off, and we are going to talk about the Councillors that we own as our Resistance faction here and what we want to do with them. So the Councillors are the most important thing, how you can guide and steer politics or control on Earth. So we want to take control of nations and then use them to our benefit and accelerating whatever we want to do, like research, but also getting into space. And I'm going to not talk about every nation here, but I just want to highlight that if you want to play, you're going to need to take control of basically 5 nations. One of them, it's either the US, it's either China, India, the EU under the leadership of France at the start, and Russia, and that's basically in that order. So I would recommend for new players always to aim for the United States. I'm going to explain how. So you want to get the neighboring nations like Canada and Mexico first, so then you get benefits of breaking into the control of America itself. That's what we are going to do in a few seconds, or minutes rather. And that's what I will really recommend for everybody who is starting the game for the first time. And for that you need the Councillors here, which we can investigate by either clicking on the portrait here or by going into the council menu up here. We do have 2 at the start, Ian Lassiter here and Kristen van der Poel, which is randomized more or less. I think it's based on the settings of your Steam account where you get one of the Councillors. In my case, it's US. And even though I'm German, but I set it up for some reason like this. I don't know where it's set from coming from, but somehow the game loads that always. And you can click on, you see a summary of the agent here, but you can click on it and then you see the details of it. This is of course a lot of information, which is at the moment pretty over the top. So you have a certain amount of stats, you have certain missions they can do, like go into orbit or stabilize the nation to reduce unrest, or you can defend what you own, and you can control new nations, which is what we want to do at the start. And they do have certain traits which help them doing their missions more efficiently or give new attribute points and so on. And then you do have like organizations here which you can use to augment your councillors. That's a very big information drop here right now, but just follow me in what I want to do here and what I keep an eye on. What you want to do at the start is take control of nations. We are going to start in Canada and then we try in Mexico. So what we want to do is use our agents to take control of them. And there's a mission which is called Control Nation to do exactly this. We can see here that we do have an 80% chance, it's also written over here, to take this control point. We can invest more influence, we do have 50 at start to do this, but the chances are of course not that overwhelming. If we use our other agent, the Kirsten here, she has only 10% chance because her persuasion stat, which is it coming from, is even lower. So that's what you need to keep an eye on. And that's exactly what we are going to go for in the first steps here. So how can we improve our chances of getting control of Canada, of the first control point here? The control points are going to give you a share of resource of this nation. So for example, it produces 1.6 money, 92 science. That we would get here. The other stats here are describing how the nation is set up, how advanced is it in knowledge and education, how stable is it, how much GDP is the population producing, like how efficient, how much economy is going on there. And then you see the regions of which it is made of, which are also interesting. You can check it out. It has certain details like how mountainous is the region, how resourceful is the region, and so on, and how much population is living there. But to get back to the councillors, we can, for example, buy organizations here to improve the stats of the councillors that we have here. And we want to keep an eye on persuasion here because that's the most important stat at the beginning. And we see here that there's no symbol which has persuasion, so there's no orc giving us persuasion. But we are going to come back to this in a second. What we also can do is, if we check our council here, we do see that we do have certain slots here which are perfect for new agents or councillors. And we see here that we do have conditions for the next slots. For example, clandestine stealth to recruit a 5th councillor, covert operations to recruit a 6th councillor. And then these will show enemy councillors that we have turned to our cause, basically traitors to their factions, which is coming a lot later in the campaign if we want to. You don't need to do this actually. And then we can, therefore we can recruit 2 persons, but we are not going to have the resources for this. As we can see here, a new one would cost, for example, 60 or 30, and sometimes even 120 if they are very expensive. And we can see here the agents with their stats, their traits and missions again, what they can do. And now what we want to do here is hunt for someone with persuasion. We can see here, for example, the evangelist here, Otis, from Australia. And he has a lot of stats like addict, untouchable, beloved, anxious, family ties, wealthy, firebrand, sociopath, career, streetwise. So he's a lot of stuff going on. But he has, most importantly, he has 10 persuasion. I would need to read some of those even because I don't know what they exactly do. But for example, this one gives persuasion and reduces loyalty. Firebrand gives, depending on where you do missions, certain bonuses. He can, for example, talk very well to an uncritical audience. And then you have like Beltran here, who has a lot less stats, but he only has 6 persuasion. Now you want to look around to see like, okay, what could I maybe use? There's, for example, a diplomat here. He is famous. He has government, so he is an official more or less. And he's cautious and he is a lobbyist. It's not bad. 7 persuasion is a decent stat. I think everything above 7 is a really good starting point for persuasion if you want to recruit a new person. 10 would of course be amazing, because that would be a really good boon to get started. What you also want to keep an eye on is the age, because the older the councillor starts, the more experience he will bring with him. Which means, for example, this Beltran here, we can make more upgrades to him when we recruit him than Otis, who is a new one. But older means also a risk that he's going to die over the course of the campaign if he gets too old. But that rarely happens if you are not playing for like 30 years or something of in-game time. Now, under the starting condition that I have here, I think I would actually go for the quick learner here, because she needs less experience points. She is an opinion leader, and in the United States where we want to go, opinion leader gives us a bonus in the state, in the home state. No, in the states where the education is 6 or higher, government is higher as 6. And we can check that in the US here. The government stat is 7.1, so that's actually working out. So we are going to take Valerie here with a quick learner stat and a government stat and an expert stat and an opinion leader. This is all really good things here. We want that. Let's buy her. And now we already have 3, but we do not have enough influence to buy a 4th one. So what we're going to do now is use the 3 agents we have here to take control of stuff. We are going to send Valerie here to investigate the alien crash site, because that's going to be our mission. The missions are here. We saw that. I clicked that away relatively quickly. We have to investigate the alien activity at the crash site. We are going to use the other ones here to probably try to get the first control point in Canada. Now, the best persuasion character we have is 7 persuasion. And so we have to make do with that. So 18% is our base chance. We can invest 4 influence. I think I feel fine with that. And then we do have a 39% chance of succeeding in that. What are other things how to improve this except leveling up our councillor? Well, we can increase our public opinion in the state. So we see here like how the public views certain factions. We can see, for example, that Humanity First and Academy are the most beloved factions in this state. And we are the Resistance, we are only at 4%, so that's terrible. So maybe we can fix that with Kirsten. Yes, we can. We can do a public campaign mission here, which is going to increase the public support. We can invest 10 money into this to increase our chance. And this, if this goes up, our public opinion, our chances of succeeding our mission will also go up. And now lastly, we want to investigate our councillors again, because maybe they do have experience points and maybe we do have decent orcs available. We can see here that Kirsten, for example, has persuasion, has experience points available. We are going to pick persuasion here. And Ian here also has persuasion available, experience points available. And he is actually a quick learner, which is really good. So we're going to take persuasion for only 18 experience points. And we take it 2 times to invest our 36 that we had here. And there are other things we could have upgraded to, but this is the best we can do for now. So, and now he has a persuasion of 9. And we can also still buy some orcs to buff everything up. The orcs are limited by our administration attribute. We want to have high administration so that we can carry a lot of these support organizations. Like the Wolf and Forge Corporation here, which is basically representing some kind of company that is supporting our cause, which will bring us certain stats like money income and other things. And we do need to make a decision right away which of our councillors maybe wants to go into the direction of science and which one wants to go into the direction of more other things. We do have the judge here, which already has 2 science, but only 5 admin and 5 persuasion, 6 persuasion. So maybe we use her for science. I don't know. We can still change that later. But we could also use the Kirsten here, or we could use Ian here. I think Ian will go into persuasion strongly. And I think I'm going to actually use Valerie here to get these 2 orcs here, because we can afford it. We do have 190 money available, because these are giving us science output and they are giving us other stats which are useful here. And I would recommend that you aim for persuasion, admin, or science in the first month of the game before you go for other stats, which I'm going to explain at a later point as well. Like, why do you need, for example, investigation or espionage? It's for certain missions. I'm going to explain that in a second, or rather in another video. So we get these 2, and from there our science output just went up a bit, and that opens up the next topic. What do we do with science? I'm going to just set it up for now. We're going to just invest into, we are not alone here. We're pushing all global projects for now. And I'm going to explain that in a separate video, why we do this and what our strategy is here and like what are we aiming for. For now, we are just going to finish the first mission phase to see how everything works here. So we confirm the assignments of our councillors, and now the game time is progressing. Most of the time you can run speed 3 or 4, which is basically multiple hours at the same time. Sometimes you want to go slower a bit, like if you want to do certain maneuvers later or whatever. But for now, most of the time in the first weeks you can, or months, you will go on speed 5 or 4. Okay, we can pick, the first event has happened, we can pick a management team. You can either get here a bit of influence, you can get a bit of science, you can get 50 ops, which is a special resource for like more special operations, or you can get a bit of money. I think the best choice is science, and then it's influence. So I take science here to get a bit more science output for our faction, which is going to go into the research here, which I'm going to explain.
Public opinion is moving in our direction
in the next video. And here we see that our public mission was a success, public campaign mission. We have increased our public support by 7, and now we are 12%. We're going to repeat that probably. We can see here now that everything has changed a little bit, and resistance is now at 12%. Apparently it was close to 5% before, but it was still showing as 4% there. So now we are up to 12%, and our mission to take control is up to 73%, because first of all we upgraded our persuasion, but also our public opinion is better now. And if we are lucky, we get the first control point in Canada. Now the UN Security Council meets, and we can make a decision if we want to get revealed here. So we can, for example, say, okay, we want to go and deliver our manifesto to the world. I would do this because it gives us another public opinion boost and 50 influence that we can use to buy a new fourth agent. There will be also projects getting unlocked, probably. We are going to talk about that in the science video.
We found something.
And here we go. The investigate alien activity mission is done, and now we get our first quest reward.
We have found something, Commander.
We have investigated this. Despite heavy security, we are able to obtain some surveillance records of the crash site, as well as a small quantity of debris. We should have a project ready for study research for research shortly. So we gained a little bit of influence and science again. And so we got some new mission now, research alien signatures project, when it comes available. And that's something we have to keep an eye on. There we go. This project is available. We put it as a favorite. I'm not going to put it into research right now. As said, I'm going to talk about that in the next video when we talk about science primarily.
Our supporters are in
And
place.
here we go. We got control of Canada. We got the first control point in Canada here, which means that we can now guide a little bit of the politics in Canada, which means that the tabs that are here will now make sense, because now we can guide the priorities of the investment in Canada. And what we want to do here is we want to bring Canada into space. So we are going to invest everything we can into a space program to get Canada space ready and help us with our alien problem that is arising on the horizon. And now let's end the mission phase here with an event, One Humanity, where every nation gets one cohesion. What's that? It's this value here. It's basically primarily for stability of your nation, like how much unrest will you get. The cohesion is a value which is influencing that. You can also see an explanation and the crackdown of the data here. You can read that in peace outside of this video, but I'm going to talk about that later when we have to fix our priorities again, when we got into space with Canada and have to decide what to do afterwards, which is going to happen relatively quickly. And that was the first mission phase, and we are going to expand from this when we continue here. But in the next video we are going to talk about science and science priorities, what we need to do and how the game works on that front. So let's go into that.